I'm not much of a racing game guy. I enjoy them every now and then, but God, shit. So when Ubisoft asked me if I wanted to try out the Crew, the new one, I was like, sure, because I had a blast with the Crew 2, or rather, my kids had a blast with it. I found it fun, like casually fun, but my kids loved it. So I said, yeah, sure. So I gotta say, first impressions though of the Crew Motorfest, it's really good. Will I ever finish the game enough to be able to review it? Probably not. But that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is basically tell you guys that if you want a fun arcadey racer, then the Crew Motorfest is pretty good. I can't for the life of me speak of how it compares to games like Horizon or Gran Turismo because I don't play those games. I don't play them nearly enough. All I can say is I have a lot of fun. The races themselves are actually pretty good. In the Crew 2, I'd never really played them. I just drove around free roamed for the most part because I was kind of bad at it. But in this one, it feels a lot better. I don't know if it's just me who's gotten more used to it or if the driving is that much better, but I do prefer to play the races in this one compared to the last one. The driving itself feels pretty good. The switching between vehicles is always a lot of fun, especially, you know, going from a car to a plane, go up in the air, drop to a boat, splash down in the river, and drive up on land and switch over to a car again. That's always going to be fun. There's no other way around that. And I do like the fact that I can crash into things, and all that happens is I basically stop. Nothing. There's a bit of damage modeling on the car itself, but it doesn't affect performance at all. I gotta say though, the menus are quite cumbersome to move around in, and there's a lot of them you have to go through. When you first boot the game, you're sent into some sort of hub where you can just walk around and look at cars and meet up with others. I don't ever engage with that at all. I just want to get back in where I left off. I want to get back on the road in the vehicle I last was in, on the last location I was in. You can't really do that. Graphically, the game looks great. Audio is fine. There's some decent music in it, although it's not generally my type of music. And the world map that they built, which is honestly basically Hawaii, is pretty dope. Vehicle selection is pretty hefty, although I am missing a few select cars that I would have liked to have in the game, especially in the electric car variety. There's a lot of electric cars out there right now, and all of them are quite interesting, but there's not that many in the game. Certain brands are lacking completely, like Tesla or some of the Chinese brands. And I think at the end of the day, it probably comes down to licensing, which is fine, understandable, but I mean, after everything you've read about and heard about, and all the YouTube videos you've seen about a Tesla Model S, Plaid, with their launchers and everything.
3, 2, 1.
Would have been cool to drive one in the game, but I guess it's not meant to be. So yeah, at the end of the day, the Crew is pretty damn great. I can warmly recommend it, even if you're not a racing game player, or maybe especially if you're not. If you are into that genre, I have no idea how it plays for you, how it feels. Might be great, might be shit, might be somewhere in the middle, I don't know. But for a casual racer like me, who rarely plays them, I warmly recommend it. At the end of the day, it's a game that I will jump back into every now and then for some casual chill. Kind of like how I play FIFA. The more games you have like that, the better. With that out of the way, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you Ubisoft for giving me the game, and I'll see you next time.